In the world of business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has officially dissolved the board and management of three major banks, Union Bank, Keystone Bank, and Polaris Bank. A press release dated January 10, 2024, revealed that this action was taken due to the bank's non-compliance with critical regulatory provisions. Shortly after the dissolution of the board and management of the banks, the Central Bank of Nigeria swiftly appointed new appointees to oversee the operation of these financial institutions. Earlier on, I spoke to Sopitan, an economist, about the Central Bank of Nigeria firing the board of the three banks. I began by asking his thought on the sack of the bank's board and management by the CBN and the justification of reasons given for the action.
Without very, very clear explanations, it's disturbing, and it's a very terrible signal to send to the investing world out there. If you look at the things that the central bank has given as a reason, is that those banks have contravened Section 12, C, G, C, F, G, and H, I think, of the Banks and Other Financial Acts, Financial Institutions Act, OFIA 2020. And if you examine, the provisions of that section or that act, you find that there is absolutely nothing cogent that you can hold on to that is enough basis and justification for the central bank to make this move that it has made. So it's very disturbing, and one can only hope that, especially in the case of Union Bank, that the ownership of that bank will address this issue through all legal means available to it. Bearing in mind that the acquisition of Union Bank by Titan Trust Bank was actually, went through all of the standard acquisition due diligence processes and was advised and run by some of the biggest investment banks in the world, Citibank Group and Rothschild Group. So this is a very confusing move from the central bank, and I hope it is not true that this is as a result of the report of the special investigator appointed by the president to review, the bank's activities following the removal of Godwin Emefiele.
All right, Mr. Sopitan, now the new executives have been appointed. What about the board, and how long can they operate without a board?
Well, the central bank has appointed board members, so it would appear as though there have been 2 or 3 people appointed for each one of these banks. Those people will run the affairs of the bank, 1 managing director and 1 executive director each. In some cases, 2 executive directors in addition to the managing director. Those people will run the affairs of the bank until a new board is constituted. Obviously, due to corporate governance requirements, that constitution of a new board will happen, very quickly. But I think that before we move on, we need to understand what has just happened to us. We need to understand what has just happened to the country with this move. What about the investment, $500 million, for example, that was invested by the TGI Group, who are the core investors in Union Bank now? What happens to that? Can you just wave that away? Can you throw all of that money down the drain just by one single pronouncement by the Central Bank of Nigeria on the back or as a result of a special investigation that has not come out with very substantial evidence, for all of the allegations made in that report? We cannot afford to reduce policy making, especially in the financial sector, to this level. It's very dangerous.